And discretion is a resource. It's not a liability, it's an asset. And the more your employees feel like their discretion matters, they will take pride in that discretion and they will build up.
What should business leaders keep in mind when they do stir?
They should allow themselves and their managers and their employees um, to really be comfortable and develop their own sense of autonomy when they're going through the process. Okay, so they should realize that all of their employees have what we call discretion, right? They have the ability to make decisions and only they have to answer to those. Okay, and it's a sort of what's called the problem of delegation in the policy world, is that you've got the principal and the agent, and the principal says, I want you to do this and I'm going to pay you, and the agent says, okay, I'll do it, and takes the money. But then the principal, how is the principal going to verify that the agent did it? Right? You can spend a lot of time and money trying to track it, but the more effort you expend, the more the agent is going to feel constrained and untrusted and regulated, and they're going to have less freedom to do what you were trying to get them to do in the first place. So, but if you give them total freedom, then they might just abscond with your finances, or they might just totally, slack off and not get any work done. So this is a classic problem, and the first thing you should keep in mind is that no matter what you do, no matter how tightly you regulate, you're humans. This isn't true for robots, but it's for humans. Humans are always going to have discretion. Okay. And discretion is a resource. It's not a liability, it's an asset. Okay. So you want to realize this is a resource. And the more your employees feel like their discretion matters, they will take pride in that discretion and they will build up. It's again, this goes back to a version of what Adam Smith called endogenous invention, right? That I will invest in my own resource to have more enhanced discretionary capacity. And then I'll be able to get the job done. I'll be able to tell stories to my teammates and my management, and I might get promoted or rewarded, or just be able to tell these great heroic stories about myself. And the managers and the HR staff and the C-suite can just realize that you can't make discretion go away. And if you try to make it go away, you're actually going to hurt your workforce. So realize that discretion is a resource and that the stir process is going to enhance that. And there are certain conditions. One condition is that the person has to feel they have to trust the process, okay, and it has to be safe. So if they request, I want to do the stir process while I'm walking around on the shop floor because otherwise I'm going to lose time. I'm just going to feel more comfortable doing that. Let them do that. Okay, it might mean that the embedded humanist, the stir agent, has to go take a safety training class so they can be on the work floor without disrupting the process. So be it. We'll do that extra step, sure. Or it might be that the employee says, I want to go into that room, close the doors, turn the mics off, and talk to you so that only you hear what I'm saying. And I don't want you to report back to my boss and tell him what I said or tell her what I said, because then I'll feel vulnerable. And so we'll respect that. And the business has to respect that, right? So you have to give your employees, if they're going to go through the stir process, you have to at least realize that these are conditions. And the more you constrain their ability to sort of have the dialogue, allow the flow of meaning through a group, the less value you're going to get out of it. Whereas the more you give them a sense of autonomy within their space to get the job done that you've assigned them and they've signed up for that mission, right? Then allow them to own that mission, even if it's sort of a small part of that mission. So that's one of the first things. Another is to realize that we can't coach everyone in your organization. So you're going to want to really think, how many people do you want to go through the process? Just one? Maybe we'll do one pilot, and then after that, we're going to pick 5 people. Do we want to focus just on one department, a department of 15 people, and get half of them stirred? Or do we want to sort of stir one person in each of these 7 departments, right? And so we want the business leaders to sort of think about what they want, but then we're going to ask them questions and maybe suggest an alternative strategy, and then we'll negotiate and we'll come up with something in the middle, right? Ultimately, we'll do it however they want it, right? Because if they think they know what needs, what needs to happen, that's great. But the third thing they need to keep in mind is that this is an open-ended process. Even though I can tell you the types of changes that we're going to get learning, we're going to get value shifts, and we're going to get strategic and practical adjustments, right? And I can say, and these will, based on past experiences, they will increase productivity. They will probably increase profitability, but we don't know that yet. Okay. They will increase a sense of efficacy, right? They will help team dynamics. They will help communication. They will help creativity. Okay. It's still an open-ended process. We don't know what the problems are that are going to emerge, or what the solutions are, or what the modulation outcomes are going to be, right? And so be open to allowing it to develop organically, right?
So now you've done the project across different countries.
Yes.
Are there any differences? Because stir seems to be something that may be quite can be impacted by culture, not just organizational culture, but culture in general, society,
Mm.
um, quite greatly. So, have you seen any differences?
Yes and no. It's usually more of a difference in how early the trust builds, um, and how comfortable people are being creative and really challenging themselves and thinking out of the box. Um, so you
Because I'm
know,
thinking, sorry, because I'm thinking, have you? My memory, in my memory, I think I read you also ran some projects in Asia, for
mhm.
example. So I'm just wondering, because Asian cultures can be quite different to, say, American culture when it comes to hierarchy in a company. So you haven't seen any difference in, say, autonomy of the different staff in expressing what they're experiencing?
We have seen, yeah, the only two times that we ever had somebody opt out of the stir process. Okay. So we always tell people at the beginning, you can keep going with this. You can be as honest with me as you want, or you can just lie to me, right? It's up to you. You can even say, I'm done with this. I don't want to do it anymore. Go find somebody else, right? So we really lower the bar so they don't have any pressure. They're just going to want to do it because they're curious, or because they're interested, or because they're going to take a risk and they hope that there's a reward. The only two times we ever had someone say, I don't want to do this anymore. And this may be a fluke, Shao. I don't know if it has anything to do with culture, right? I've had discussions and we've had debates. Yes, it has something to do with culture. No, it doesn't have something to do with culture. But one was in South Korea and one was in China. And both cases, it was because the person who opted out felt that they were being spied on by their manager. And they thought that the stir agent was a spy. And we told them, we're not, we're independent. We will only report back what you let us. We're going to anonymize it. We're not going to use your name. We'll even let you read it first and you can get rid of the words so they can't trace it back to you. We're going to extend that respect to you. But they just didn't believe us. But other than that, I would say that the process has been remarkably robust, whether it's in basic research, applied research, technology development, business management, different technology fields, synthetic biology, financial innovation, genetics, physics, material science, different organizational types, small, medium, and large, and different countries. We've been in Eastern European countries, we've been in Western European countries, we've been in Northern, Southern European, we've been in the US, we've been in North America, Canada, Mexico, the US, we've been in Japan, South Korea, China. I guess the other difference would be Eastern Europe, that it's been very challenging to get a foot in the door in Eastern European settings. And a lot of the times, the people that we were working with really didn't feel that they had the discretion. They didn't feel that the decisions they made mattered. And they were really reluctant to sort of take ownership for more than just what they had to do. Right. And this was frustrating for the researchers. We had a grant to work with something like 30 Southeastern European organizations across something like 10 different countries. And it was frustrating because the people who I had trained in STIR, who then went on to conduct this project, and I was an advisor on the project, they knew what STIR had accomplished in North America and Europe and in Asia, and that they were expecting the same results in Eastern Europe, but they weren't coming as quickly. They did come in some cases, and in some cases they didn't. So I would say actually that, my colleague, Lukos Miklos, he is developing a theory of the sort of post-Soviet um, culture. And it's really more of a question of innovation. So I would say that in the end, um, even though we still had some wonderful modulations and some great results in Eastern Europe, especially in Hungary, um, still probably it's fair to say that the more innovative a culture is, the more likely they are to be able to be responsibly innovative. So innovation and responsible innovation kind of go hand in hand. And that's a very interesting question because I'm now working with people in Africa, right? And not just South Africa, right? But in different African nations, right? Where there's not a traditional industrial or innovation culture. And so the question is, what is responsible innovation in these areas, right? And a lot of people like to say responsible innovation is just innovation. But I don't agree with that. I think it's innovation that is able to have a reflective awareness about itself so that it can be more effective in the long term and be more robust and build a bridge between itself and its customers.